Hello, everyone. This is Sean from the Soccernostalgia blog. I have the pleasure to interview Mr. Jakub Drożdż. Mr. Drożdż is the founder of the Polish football Alamanac and a football enthusiast. This interview is separate from a podcast series. This video interview will serve as a companion piece to a written blog presentation on Poland's 2002 World Cup Qualification Campaign, looked from a Polish perspective. There will be a future interview where we will discuss Poland's participation in the 2002 World Cup. Hello, Jakub. Thank you for this interview and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So, when the 2002 World Cup adventure started in 2000, Poland had not qualified to the World Cup nor the Euros since 1986. Can you describe this decade plus of disappointment and the state of Polish football during this time?
Yes, I can. And it was the worst period of Polish football, at least for me. Yes, the 90s, the late 80s and the 90s, really the best, should be the best time personally for me of my life, as I was a teenager, enthusiastic and about football, and in our football history, really that was the darkest times. We, as you mentioned, we had not qualified for 16 years for the World Cup. In fact, never for the Euros, because our first time was in 2008. So still we had to wait some time. And definitely that was the dark time for Polish football, not only on the pitch, not only the football performance, but also that was the period, especially the 90s, as I remember, the period of a lot of corruption, a lot of scandals in the Polish FA, and generally in the Polish football. So that was a nice change, this qualification for the World Cup in 2002. That was a nice, fresh start, new beginning of the 21st century.
So how important was the election in 1999 of new Federation President Michał Listkiewicz?
Yeah, I think it was crucial. It was very important at that time. Listkiewicz, he replaced controversial President Marian Jurowicz. And for me personally, as I remember, that was like a fresh start, like a new person, like something going to change. And in fact, that was the case. That was the case. Because during his tenure, we qualified for 3 different tournaments. First time for Euros in 2008. And as I mentioned before, by the way, he was the longest serving president of Polish Federation, 8 or 9 years. So there was a lot of success on the pitch. He also appointed Leo Benhacker, the Dutch coach, the really big figure in European football at that time. He was also instrumental in organizing the Euro in 2012 for Poland and Ukraine. So during this 8 or 9 years of his reign, that was a good time for Polish football. What is controversial about Michał Listkiewicz and his job in the Polish FA is, I think, a little bit what happened a little bit earlier when he was Secretary General of the Polish Federation. And that was this period, as I mentioned, of a lot of corruption in Polish football. And now many people accuse him of, knowing about all this stuff, all these scandals, but sweeping it all under the carpet and doing nothing with it. So that's the dark spot on his career as a person in the Polish Federation. But as a president, I think that was a great change and a good beginning of the 21st century.
Yeah, and he's also credited for renovating stadiums, negotiating better television rights for Polish football, and also bringing back Zbigniew Boniek into the federation, among other things.
Yeah, I even think during his reign as a president, he appointed Boniek as a national team manager, which was one of the worst his decisions. Yeah. That didn't work. That didn't work out. Yeah, but yeah. In fact, as I remember, Boniek was his counter candidate for the position in '99.
So, can you describe the trajectory of Polish national team manager Jerzy Engel appointed in 1999?
Exactly. That was first coach appointed by Listkiewicz, and that was quite unexpected, at least for me. To be honest, I didn't know this guy very much. Or at the beginning of his career, he was a manager of few Polish clubs, most notably from Warsaw. He finished runner-up in Polish top flight with Legia Warsaw. Then he worked in Cyprus, where also only his only achievement was finishing second in the Cyprus first division. And with these credentials, I believe it is a bad decision to appoint this guy as a national team manager. At the beginning, it looked, in fact, didn't look promising because we didn't win first 6 matches of his reign. Later, obviously, it was much better, and it ended up finishing first and qualifying for this World Cup.
The major masterstroke of Engel was the integration of the Nigerian-born Emmanuel Olizadebe in the national team ahead of the World Cup qualifiers. Can you describe his trajectory and the process of his citizenship?
Yeah, this is also an interesting story. He came to Poland in '97. He was 19, and he at the beginning he failed some trials, a couple of Polish clubs. Eventually, he ended up in Polonia Warsaw. That was the club where Jerzy Engel was a sporting director. So probably from the beginning, Engel and Olizadebe had this special connection, which later evolved in the national team, and also it led to this citizenship. So that was something unexpected, I think, for everyone. But from the beginning, the idea of bringing Olizadebe to the Polish team was something vital for Coach Engel. It wasn't that easy because Olizadebe, obviously, at that time, he didn't fulfill all the requirements, formal requirements to be a citizen. But somehow Engel convinced, I don't know who, maybe president signed the documents, Poland's president signed the documents, and despite not fulfilling these requirements, like speaking Polish, I think, and living in Poland for at least 5 years, somehow Olizadebe quickly got this citizenship and was ready for the qualifiers.
The naturalization of an African or any foreign player was unprecedented in Polish football. How was this viewed at the time?
Definitely unprecedented. Something new, as I said before, and yeah, I think it caused a lot of controversy among fans. Obviously, that was the era before this internet and before the social media, so maybe it wasn't so clear. But sometimes at the stadiums, there were some racial controversies during his appearances, when it was well known that he will be trying to get this citizenship. So that was something new, and I believe many people couldn't agree with this at that time, and yeah, it caused some controversies.
Yeah. Well, he made his debut in a friendly on August 16th at Bucharest against Romania, and in fact, he scored Poland's goal in a 1-1 tie. So already you could see that his integration was successful, and it would become even more successful, as we'll see as a season will take shape. So
that's correct. Yes, exactly. Of course, after the some kind of controversies and some kind of, I don't know, dislike for this decision, with every match, every goal, every step closer to qualification, these feelings were lower and lower and weaker and weaker.
So the World Cup qualifiers started on September 2nd, 2000, as Poland traveled to Kyiv to face Ukraine of Andrei Shevchenko. And Poland came away surprising 3-1 away win. And again, Olizadebe scored 2 of the goals and Kaluzny scored the other one. So it was a very important away win for Poland to get the qualifiers in the right mindset.
Definitely, yes, on the right mindset, and totally unexpected because, as I mentioned, the first 6 games before this qualifier we didn't win. We rarely scored goals. So yeah, I think we went to Kiev, to Ukraine, and then probably they were asking Ukrainians, they were asking themselves and ourselves, how many goals do we want to concede? And that was the only question before the game.
Olizadebe, that's 2 games and 3 goals for Poland. He was a crucial addition already. Now, the next home qualifier was on October 7th at Lodz against Belarus. And again, Poland won 3-1 with Kaluzny scoring a hat-trick. So 2 matches, 2 convincing wins already.
Exactly.
A few days later, on October 11th at Warsaw, Poland hosted Wales, but the match ended as a scoreless tie. And there were some injury problems. We have to mention that players such as Kozminski and Bach were injured, and Olizadebe, he himself was a little injured, and he only played the last 15 minutes. So after 2 wins, a drop point was a little disappointing. So what was the outlook at this early stage?
It wasn't that bad result. It wasn't that bad. Of course, disappointing because after this perfect start, we hoped that was the home game, so everyone hoped for another 3 points. But in the end, it wasn't that bad game, that bad score. And still, after this third match day, we were top of the group. Everything was in our hands. So I think there was not many complaints about this performance and this 0-0 tie.
Now, Poland ended the calendar year with a friendly at Warsaw against Iceland and won 1-0 with a Frankowski penalty kick. And Engel used the opportunity to give a few new caps. Olizadebe's fine form earned him a transfer to Greek side Panathinaikos at the end of this calendar year. Was it a sign that he was receiving international recognition as well?
Of course, it was always some kind of proof that you are doing well. His performance at Polonia Warsaw, they were of course vital for this, but the most important was his form during these international qualifiers, this World Cup qualifiers. So yeah, that was beginning of something very promising for him. He was already, yes, well known in Europe. I think in 2000 or 2001 he even finished 29 in Golden Ball Award. So that was quite a big result for Polish player at that time. Yeah, and the transfer to Panathinaikos in Greece, that was like step ahead for him in his career, definitely. It in fact it didn't turn out to be great because he had a lot of injuries during his Greek time and didn't fulfill his potential in Greece, I think.
With the end of the year 2000, this gives us an opportunity to discuss some of the key players of this Polish team. And let's look at the defense. So we have Klose, Hachto, the captain Waldok, Michal Zhevlakov, Jacek Zielinski, and Jacek Bach. What are your thoughts on these players?
Yeah, that was a good group of the defenders. Yes, and they were very solid at the back. And the first 4 names you mentioned, that was, I think, this stability and stable squad for most of the qualifiers. Yeah, so definitely the defensive play was something we were well known for, and it helped considerably to get so many points and to not to concede so many goals. Of course, we need to include in this, let's say, defenders group. We need to include goalkeeper Jerzy Dudek, who was also becoming quite famous, soon joining Liverpool on a transfer from Feyenoord.
Yes, and Waldok and Hachto were also teammates at Bundesliga side Schalke, and I think that was the year they almost won the title but they lost on the last day, if I'm not mistaken. So they were getting good experience in the Bundesliga, both of them.
Definitely, yes. They were key players in top Bundesliga side, and again, that time it wasn't that obvious that Polish players can play such an important role in good European leagues and clubs.
Yeah. And whenever Waldock was absent, Zielinski took his place to good effect and also captained in his absence as well. So there's a
Yes,
good, solid formation of defense at this point for Poland.
no doubt about that.
Yes. The year 2001 started with a friendly in Cyprus against Switzerland, and Poland won 4-0. And again, Olizadebe amongst the scorers. Now we come to the crucial qualifiers on March 2001. And I'm assuming it's fair to say Norway perhaps would have been seen as the group favorites ahead of the qualifiers because that qualified to the 94-98 World Cup and also the 2000 Euros, if I'm not mistaken.
They had many players in good European teams, especially I think in Great Britain. Yes.
Yes.
Alongside Ukraine, they were a favorite of this group. Yeah. Poland wasn't considered before this campaign wasn't considered like a team which can make some difference.
Yes. So on March 24th at Oslo, Poland took on Norway. Poland won 3-2. Again, Olizadebe scored twice. And this was a key away win against, just like the match against Ukraine, it was a key away win against another group favorite, which put Poland in a comfortable position or a more favorite position to qualify from this group.
Definitely after that game, I think that the hope in the nation increased a lot, and after that, everyone I think was speaking loudly about possibility to qualify.
A few days later, on March 28th, Poland hosted Armenia at Warsaw and comfortably won 4-0. Again, Olizadebe amongst the scorers, as well as both Zevlakov brothers and Karvan. Things were looking good for Poland at this point, halfway through the qualifiers. Now, did these two wins in March 2001, most notably the one away in Oslo, convince the public that Poland were set to qualify?
Yes. I think that was the moment when everyone started to believe that we can really do this after this tough 16 years, and that was the match which probably set us on fire even more, and that was a crucial win. That was a crucial win for the later or second part of this qualifiers.
Right, and things were looking so good for Poland that in the next month they hosted on April 25th in a friendly. They hosted Scotland, and tickets were sold out in one day, which shows how the public was getting behind this Poland side.
Exactly. That was not always the case before.
And the match ended as a 1-1 tie with Kaluzny scoring for Poland. Now we come to the end of the season in June. Poland has a double qualifiers again. So on June 2nd, they go to Cardiff to face Wales. And this is another away win, which compensated for the drop point at home earlier in the season. Poland won 2-1. Again, Olizadebe scored, as well as Pavel Kryszalowicz. And again, qualification looking likely and likelier with every match.
That's true. I remember this particular match quite vividly. I don't know why. Yeah, that maybe because I was so stressed about this match, because after these previous wins, we were so close, and Wales didn't seem like a serious contender and serious opponent, and I think we were 1-0 down at some point, and yes. Personally for me, that was the toughest game of this campaign, and probably it cost me a lot of a lot of nerves, and I really remember this feeling of this game, and such a big relief when we finally got these 3 points, because it meant, yeah, it was like step closer, big step closer, another one.
Yeah, and a few days later, Poland traveled to Yerevan in Armenia to face the Armenian hosts and came away with a 1-1 tie to end this first season. So as the 2000-2001 season ended, which players stood out in Engel's squad? We already discussed the defense. Let's discuss the midfield and attack. We have players such as Karvan, Kaluzny, Zverzhevsky, Kozminski, Kurzinovek, Ivan in midfield. Up front, we have Olizadebe, Krishalovic, who slowly displaced Juskoviak in the squad, and Marcin Zhevlakov. What are your thoughts on this group?
Yeah, again, the only star, in fact, of that team was Olizadebe. That's no doubt about it, with his performances and goals. The rest of the players were like a solid players, great group of people, great group of hard workers in this team. And as similarly to the defense, here in midfield, there's 4 players which mostly appeared in midfield were like the solid, rock solid guys who Engel could depend on them any game. If someone was absent because of injuries or suspensions, there was immediate replacement as good as the let's say original player. So again, there was no big stars on this team. That was a group of hardworking people who knew from the beginning what is the aim and who believed, probably almost from the beginning, that it can be done.
So the crucial 2001-2002 season started with a friendly on August 15th at Reykjavik against Iceland. This match ended as a 1-1 tie, but what's important about this match is that it was Poland's 12th match without a loss, and this broke the record from the 74-75 period, which showed how the team had improved.
Exactly. That was a huge achievement. And when you thought about this at that time, and when you compare it to the beginning of this campaign and the appointment of new coach and his beginnings with the team, yeah, that was hard to believe.
So can you describe where you were in life as you were witnessing these qualifiers?
Yeah, that was 2000, 2001. So that was also important period of my life. I started my university time back then. So it was new, also some new path for me. And yeah, I was watching all these games, really excited, really believing that it can happen. But to be honest, it was maybe so emotional for me that I don't remember. Besides few exceptions, I really don't remember the environment, the situations in which I watched these matches. And yes,
in these early parts of the 2001-2002 season, Jerzy Dudek was in the limelight as he joined Liverpool from Feyenoord in a record transfer for a Polish player. I think it was like 4.9 million pounds, which is laughable these days, but that was then. So can you describe his trajectory up to this point?
Yeah, that Jerzy Dudek became a big star on this team, and this transfer to Liverpool obviously was some kind of sign of his value in Europe. But yeah, he was quite unexpected player even here in Poland. For part of at the beginning of his career, he played in his hometown club, lower divisions. I think the third level was the top level he played. In '95, unexpectedly, he joined Polish top flight club Sokół Tychy. He spent only 6 months there, half a season, played 15 games at the top level in Polish Ekstraklasa, and even more unexpectedly, he joined Feyenoord in Holland. I remember that was really, really something surprising. He was still relatively unknown in Poland, and he got this big transfer to Feyenoord. First year in Feyenoord, he didn't play a game, I think. He was just on reserves. After this first year, he became the number one at Feyenoord. And for the next 4 years, I think he spent there. He was like a top goalkeeper of the Dutch league, winning some awards, winning trophies with Feyenoord, which resulted, of course, in great performances and transfer to Liverpool, as you mentioned before, for this astonishing at that time sum of money, especially for Polish players.
Now we come to the crucial qualifier against Norway on September 1st, 2001. Now, before this decisive qualifier against Norway, Engel showed his players a film of World War II. Can you discuss this?
Yes, that was also something new, and many players admitted that they've never experienced such kind of motivational meeting before any of the games before. Obviously, the date was the crucial here, because September 1st is an anniversary of Second World War. So Engel decided to use this fact to motivate the players, and gave really motivational speech to the players who, yeah, it worked out. It worked out. Although, of course, players admitted, and later they admitted that before such a game, and everyone knew what is the stake and what they are playing for. Of course, there was not necessary to motivate themselves much more, but yeah, the film, I think it helped, and it was something different, something else.
Yes. So Poland won this match 3-0 at Chorzo. Kryszalowicz, Olizadebe, and Marcin Żewlakow scored the goals, and Poland qualified to the World Cup for the first time since 1986. Engel later said that today's match is a turning point, the start of a new era in Polish football. Boniek added that you mustn't change for the sake of changing. On the contrary, you must base your game on natural characteristics, which Engel has understood perfectly. So with this convincing win over Norway, Poland clinched qualification after 16 years. Yeah, after the euphoria of qualification, it was inevitable that Poland would drop a level. So a few days later, on September 5th, they traveled to Minsk and lost 4-1 to Belarus. But at this point, nobody cared, because qualification was achieved, and I doubt any of the players really even wanted to play this match. So
exactly. Probably they had a lot of celebrations after the Norway match, and the level of motivation and commitment decreased a bit. So yeah. Although I still remember huge disappointment that we could lose with Belarus, yes, in such a big with such a big result, such a high defeat.
Yeah, Engel felt that this loss would actually be beneficial for Poland. He says, now we know that during the World Cup, there will be no time for any victory celebration before the next match. And he mentioned that after the win over Norway, everyone in the country wanted to meet and congratulate the players, and it was impossible to keep them in isolation. And that was partly why they lost in a manner that they did.
That could be the reason, yeah.
So Poland's qualification campaign ended on October 6th at Chorzo as they hosted Ukraine. And this match, again, it was an inconsequential match, ended as a 1-1 tie, but Olizadebe scored again, and once more,
I believe, of the campaign.
Right. So it showed how crucial of an addition he had been after all these key goals in his 2 seasons. To celebrate further, in the following month, on November 14th, they hosted Cameroon at Poznan in a friendly that ended as a scoreless tie.
That was the end of a really good season.
Yeah. So let's look at the tactics of the team. What was Engel's standard tactical formation in the qualification phase?
Yeah, most of the games, probably all of the games, he preferred to play with this 4-4-2 formation. And as we said before, the team, the people, players in the squad were very stable. So we had always Dudek in goal in the qualifications. Olisa Debe up front. Most often he played alongside Paweł Kryszałowicz. Yeah, back four was mostly the same, as you mentioned, with Michał Żewłakow on the left, Tomasz Kłos on the right, Tomasz Wałdoch in the center of the defense, alongside Jacek Bąk most often, or Tomasz Hajto. Also, the second line, the midfield was quite stable, with Radosław Kałużny in the middle as a central midfielder. By the way, he was central midfielder, more defensive oriented, but still he managed to score 5 goals. 3 of them came in this one game you mentioned before. So the standard formation 4-4-2 with the players on each position and the substitutes who came and replaced these players, and still they added some value to the team. That was the big advantage of this team.
Now, despite qualification, there was no player universally known in the Boniek and later in the Lewandowski level. Was this a group that functioned without major stars?
That's the case, yeah. Maybe as Olisa Debe was this player who stood out a bit. Dudek in goal, yes. But generally speaking, obviously there was nobody at this level of Boniek or Lewandowski right now. So we didn't have a player like that. So the strength of this team was the group. They played as a group without any big stars and in any position, like international stars. They were just good European players, but yeah, nobody stood out too much out of the group.
When Poland qualified, a whole generation had not seen Poland qualify to any finals. I'm just wondering how this new generation celebrated the qualification this time.
Yeah, that was a huge success for many people like me. It was, in fact, the first time in our lives. So the euphoria and enthusiasm around the nation was huge. Players became like celebrities right now. Of course, again, not this level as it is now, but I remember suddenly they started to appear in TV commercials. You know, they were everywhere. Funny saying, oh, you open the fridge and you see the Polish player there. So that was huge success, huge enthusiasm and happiness for people around the country, but also something new and amazing for these players who really became recognizable in a general way, not only on the pitch. So yeah, that had been amazing.
In closing, what was the outlook for the year 2002 from the Polish public?
Obviously, we are talking before the World Cup. So the outlook was great. The outlook was great, optimistic. You know, I think that was even Jerzy Engel words, that we are going to Asia to win the trophy. Yes, and so the level of enthusiasm was huge after these qualifications, and the mood, the feeling around the fans. I think it was like that. It was like that. We go there and we will do something. I think that according to some survey made before the World Cup, I think the most of the Polish fans decided that semi-final is the minimum we can achieve there. So really, the level of hope was huge.
Yeah. With that, I would like to thank you for this interview. And I would urge everyone to please read the main blog article as well for more detail. The link is included on the video upload description, along with our respective contact information. and a reminder that there will be a future interview where we will discuss Poland's participation in the 2002 World Cup. So Jakub, thank you once more.
Thank you for inviting me to the show, and pleasure as always.
Thank you.
Thank you.